grab your fins and get ready to sink your teeth into our new episode. I'm Stephanie Simmons, and this is the backstory of Shark Week. We're going to be diving into the most exciting week on television, where the stories you hear are just as exciting as the sharks themselves. My guest today is Kanga Phillips, shark conservationist, and one of the faces of Shark Week, which starts, by the way, on July 26th. Kanga, hi. Thank you for being here. All right, so you've been involved with Shark Week for many years now.
I have.
Your new show this year is What Shark Attacked? Tell us about it.
So What Shark Attacked, which is going to air July 30th at 8 p.m. as part of Shark Week, is actually a very fun and insightful show. So what makes it so interesting is we are looking at footage, viral video footage of shark incidents from around the world. And in all of these cases that we are analyzing, we don't know what shark was the culprit. So myself and a team of experts and scientists are breaking it down, and we are analyzing all the data that we have to determine what shark attacked in every situation. It's very interesting.
So what are these sharks biting? Are we talking surfboards? Are we talking other animals?
All of the above. So some of them are shark-human interactions, which are always unfortunate. And there are definitely surfboards in there. You will see some footage of a surfboard that has a huge bite out of it. There are boogie boards. There is all kinds of stuff. So obviously people who are recreating in the water and have encountered sharks, and usually in a dramatic fashion. And then we are breaking down and analyzing what the incident was, why it happened, and of course, what shark attacked.
Okay, we know a lot of different kinds of sharks are as big as buses at times, which means their jaws are humongous. So what shark just blew you away when you saw that bite in whatever it was that they took a chunk out of?
Great question. I think one of the most dramatic and the ones that people have probably seen the most on the news are great white shark bites. I mean, they are huge, and they have these massive steak-like teeth and the serrations on the side. So that also is very helpful when you're analyzing a shark bite, because you're measuring the shark bite, you're looking at the range, you're looking at the serrations, you're looking at really the structure of how those teeth cut into a surfboard or whatever it may have been. So they leave a lot of clues behind. We're kind of like Shark CSI.
Ooh, that'll be a fun one. But you've also done a show previously called Tiger Queen. And this one has a very interesting story behind it, because Shark Week has been around for 38 years now. But you have something special for this Tiger Queen. Tell us about that.
So when Tiger Queen premiered in 2021, I got to be the first female host of Shark Week, which was really wonderful. And obviously in this one, the Tiger Queens are the sharks. They are the stars of the show. And we were in Turks and Caicos, and we were investigating the male and female differences in population of the sharks. And we found the sharks. We weren't sure if we were going to find the sharks, but one might say they found us. Okay,
so with tiger sharks, they are notoriously unpredictable. Am I correct in saying that?
I would say most sharks, there's a line between saying they're predictable and unpredictable. I mean, it's kind of like having a big dog. If you saw a dog that you didn't recognize, that you weren't familiar with walking down the street, you would assume that dog is unpredictable. And it's the same thing with sharks. There are a lot of behaviors and the way they move through the water physically that you can identify maybe how a shark is feeling, how it's going to respond. And we have responses with the way we position ourselves in the water, the way we interact with them, that really determine how the interaction is going to go. With that said, there are always moments, and on every single one of these shows, there's usually a couple of them where you really don't know how an encounter is going to end.
Because you're out of a cage. Yes. In Tiger Queen, one of the many situations you've gotten yourself in, you're not using a cage to interact with tiger sharks. So tell us about an encounter you've had where you were, very knowledgeable, very researched. You study the animals, you care about the animals, you know not to pet them, but it can still get really scary.
Well, I think you said it perfectly, the situations we've gotten ourselves into, because I think it's very important to know that for Shark Week, we are getting ourselves into these situations. And I think when people watch Shark Week and they see the footage we have, they just assume that if they drop off a boat somewhere, there's just sharks waiting for them everywhere. And in reality, when you're filming these shows, it can take hours, if not sometimes days, to bring in the sharks. But there have been a couple of really great encounters because we are in the water very authentically. We are in nature, so you never know know what's going to happen, when the sharks are going to show up, how many, what species. Sometimes we're waiting for a tiger shark and a great hammerhead shows up. But on Tiger Queen, because you mentioned it, there was a great moment where myself and my cameraman, Fo, were actually quite a ways away from the boat, where we have our trauma medic, because each shoot has to have a trauma medic for obvious reasons. Knock on wood, never used them. And our entire team. And we could hear the team yelling, she's turning around. So we knew there was a tiger in the water and she was coming around to me. And I was free diving in the water, so I did not have scuba equipment on. I'm just in my wetsuit. And usually when we free dive, we have a lot of weights on, and that keeps us positioned in the water better. But because we were out there for hours and hours, I didn't have a ton of weight on, just to not tire myself. And I could see this huge tiger shark underwater, and she turned and she came right at me. And this was a population of sharks that was very not habituated to humans. So at that point in my head, I'm thinking, as she's coming towards me, I'm thinking, does she know me? Does she recognize me as what I am or what I not am? I'm not a meal. And she just kind of sped up, came right at me, and I put my hand out and wiggled my fingers because I really wanted her to come directly at my hand and not drop down towards my legs. I wanted to be able to control her movement. And then she came right to me, and in the last second turned off and went straight into my cameraman's camera and then turned off again. So we got the money shot. It was great. But there was a moment in my head where I was thinking, watching this, going, how is this going to go down? What is her behavior going to be? Is she going to try to investigate me with her teeth, or is she just going to move away?
How big of a shark are we talking about?
She was probably a good 10 feet.
When a 10-foot shark does an about face,
yeah,
and you weren't expecting it, comes at you, that could be very, very concerning. Now, do you have any, I don't want to call them weapons, but redirection tools, as it were, to maneuver sharks if you get yourself in a situation that you weren't expecting?
We do exactly that. So what we do is we redirect the sharks. And when we redirect the sharks, usually if they come into us, we let them kind of create the interaction. And if they come in too fast, too hot, you really kind of take them by the big part of their head and you push them down and away. Every time I say that, by the way, I have to give the don't try this at home disclaimer, because people go, well, what do I do if I see a shark? And I'm thinking, if you see a shark, you're probably not going to be thinking I need to redirect it.
No, but real quick. Yeah. I heard poke it in the eye before. Yeah. Oh, here comes a great white. Wait, stay there, buddy. I mean, you're just not thinking that for real.
You're not. The interactions we have are a little bit more controlled because we are creating them. We're in the water. We know what we're doing. So that's what we do. If it comes in on the head, down and away.
Okay, real quick, we do have to take a break in just a second, but I want to get this question out here because it's fascinating. Tell us what it takes to put a show like this together, because I know a lot of this is heavily unscripted.
It is all unscripted. So we come in knowing what we want to get and the storyline we want to get, but you're dealing with nature. So you never have any clue if the sharks are going to come in, if they're not going to show up. I've been on sets where we're twiddling our fingers going, can we move locations because there are no sharks here? So usually we'll send out boats. We always have permits. We always have scientists with us, and we'll put chum in the water. And chum is the delightful term for basically the slick of fish guts and fish scales and fish blood and all the things that make a shark go, ooh, that's delightful. Well, what's that smell coming from? It's a little treat for the sharks. Yeah. So that's what we do to attract the sharks. Again, we're always permitted to do that. And then we essentially wait. And then when the sharks show up, it's like a NASCAR pit crew. We've got to get it together. We've got to get in the water. We've got to film. We always have scientists with us. And a lot of times we're also doing real research and data. So we might catch the shark, bring it in. We'll put in satellite tags and acoustic tags. And that's full NASCAR. Like, you have to do that really quickly so that you're continuously aerating them. So it's a lot of fun.
And the shows are for entertainment, but you are deeply respectful of these animals. All right, stay right here. We have to take a quick break. And after the break, Kanga will tell us about some of the wild behind-the-scenes moments and the dangers of filming for Shark Week. All right, welcome back, everybody. We are back with shark conservationist and host on Shark Week, Kanga Phillips. All right, so let's get into the sharks themselves. Yes. And during filming, I know there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make air, and you are a pro at this stuff, the other hosts as well. You are not afraid of sharks, but I know you've gotten into some kind of seriously scary moments. Tell us.
We have. And, it's not so much that we fear the sharks, but we respect them. I think the moment that you're in the water with them and you get blasé about it is when you're going to have a problem. So we had one incident last year, actually, when we were filming a show off of Saba, an island in the Caribbean, and we were in very rough water. And we had bait in the water, again, because we have the scientists with us, so we're allowed to chum, put bait in. And we had 2 young male tiger sharks show up. And these young males were like little teenagers. They were kind of feisty and vibrant, and these sharks were coming around to the bait, and all of a sudden one of them turns and looks directly at me and is like, I wonder what she is. I'm going to go check her out. And the shark just starts bolting for me. And I'm thinking, okay.
By bolting, what do you mean by bolting?
Swimming faster than I would like for it to. Usually
like
tiger
20
sharks.
miles an hour.
I can't really clock it in the water. It wasn't charging me, but it was coming at a nice clip where it was curious to see what I am.
Caught you off guard.
Caught me off guard. So the sharks, when they're curious, they don't have hands to go, well, what's that? Let me touch it and check it out. They have teeth and they have their mouth. So when you have a shark that's coming at you like that, really what you want to do is you want to intercept it and you want to move it away. However, it was so choppy, I didn't want to try to intercept it because I was afraid that the water was so aerated, I couldn't see. And I didn't want to lose where the sharp end was. So when the shark came to me, I couldn't grab it before it opened its mouth. So right as it opened its mouth, I grabbed it with my left hand, which is not my dominant hand because I was holding a pole spear in my right. We were doing a biopsy. And the shark threw me out of the water. All this, my camera crew, everyone on the boat just silenced. No one knows what's happening. And the shark pushes me up out of the water. And then our safety diver comes in from the side and the 2 of us together push it off. And we were able to get a biopsy on the back end of that. And the craziest part of that whole story, though, is that we have one amazing cameraman named Mark Rackley, who is a legend on Shark Week. And he is just the shark whisperer. This man is afraid of nothing. And after that, I was like, okay, great. Let's get another biopsy. Let's keep going. It wasn't even rolling in my head that this was a very uncomfortable situation. And Mark looks at me and he goes, well, we're getting out of the water. And I thought, when Mark Rackley says you're getting out of the water, you're getting out of the water. So that was an interesting encounter. But again, it's a situation we willingly put ourselves into. We created that.
Wow. And you were just so focused on getting that shot. But I wonder did they get a still photo of you being flown out of the water?
There's drone footage. Okay. There's underwater footage. Yeah. It all made it into the show.
That's something that you would put on Instagram and put the caption, not AI.
Not AI. Exactly.
I mean, wow. I'm glad you're okay. But I mean, just to go back in and do it, you can tell that you really, really love what you're doing. Okay. So this was a teenage shark. We know how teenage boys are human-wise.
Yes.
Let's talk about shark personalities because I remember, okay, so I haven't done any diving like you in the open waters, but I did do the Georgia Aquarium. Okay, it is really fun, folks. But there's a hammerhead shark in there, and they do let it get a little dangerous, but the sharks in the aquarium, very used to people. But there was this hammerhead, and it was just swimming around me, swimming, and just ignoring everybody else, swimming around, and then afterwards, the dive master said that shark was flirting with you. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. Do they have their own personalities? But he definitely was ignoring all the other ladies, Kinga. Okay. So I'm wondering, since you've been around hundreds and hundreds of sharks, do they have their own personalities?
They absolutely do, Stephanie. And I love that you were flirted with by a great hammerhead.
You know what?
That's pretty dreamy.
He did not ask for my number, though. I was very disappointed.
You never know. Do you speak shark? Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Yes, they do have their own personalities. And you are a dog person, so know you have 2 dogs of the same breed and they have completely different personalities. So yes, absolutely, sharks have very, very unique personalities, each one of them.
Some of them can be sweet and then some of them a little rough.
Feisty. Yeah, for sure.
Ornery, need some coffee in the morning.
There are ornery sharks, there are sweet sharks, there are shy sharks. We had in Tiki How in French Polynesia, we were with 3 tiger sharks, and one, the largest chupa, was the one that would come right into you and you would more than likely have to redirect her. There was another one named Victoria that she had the kind of personality that if she got feisty, she was going to go chew on the back of the boat. And then there was another one which was smaller and she would just stay on the periphery because she didn't really want to come interact. So very different personalities.
How sweet. All right, make sure you stay right here. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about our local shark population and shark awareness tips. Welcome back, everybody. Oh, the stuff you remember when you're talking in commercial breaks. So full disclosure, if you've seen Kinga on our show before, you already know she and I are very, very close friends. And we actually for just remembered, we've been shark diving together.
We have.
We went for your sister's bachelorette party to Cancun and did a dive with whale sharks.
Yes, you and I have been in the water with a shark before together, and we completely forgot about that till
totally
just now.
Forgot. Oh, all the fun. And that was my first time. I marveled at the size. But this is interesting for our viewers who might be interested in doing a trip like this. Maybe, shark diving with great whites is a little too intense. Yeah. These are the gentle giants. Talk about the process of finding a good person to go out with or business to go out with, and how they know where to find these sharks.
So a great question about finding the right business, because I think really doing your research and making sure that you're going with someone who is reputable for your safety and also the animal safety, and that is across all kinds of wildlife interactions, because there are some great shark dives out there in the world, so it's great to source them, really read reviews. You and I went out off of Cancun and Isla Mujeres, where they have the largest gathering of whale sharks in the world, and that happens during the summer. So usually around June, July, August, I believe people can go there if they want to have an interaction with the whale shark. It's pretty extraordinary. You guys actually have a great one here in San Diego. You know that here in La Jolla, you have the leopard sharks, and that is really special. Getting out there, that's an easy one. I've taken kids out there to see it because you just walk right in from the beach, and that's a great one.
So it's sort of a swim at your own risk kind of thing.
With just because it's in the ocean and it's the water, so you have to be safe. But right there, really, the water is probably the most dangerous element. The leopard sharks are very docile. You'll see them on the bottom, and they're beautiful. Their coloring is gorgeous.
Is there a good time of year or a better time of year to go and see them here locally?
Yes, they are here all summer. So they will be here through August into September even. So really what you want to look for, and there's reports that you can find online, is the clarity of the water. Because there are times where it's real murky and you have no idea if there's a shark there or not. And then other times the clarity is beautiful and you can see tons of stingrays and leopard sharks, and it's just really nice.
Oh, it's perfect in a short drive to the beach. But speaking of the beach, we are still in the summer months and we have to share the waters with sharks. So tell us about some shark safety tips and shark awareness tips for people who might be extra scared of them just for not knowing.
Well, one of the things I always tell people is if sharks really looked at us as something on the menu, most of us wouldn't be here right now, because they are out there and there are a lot of them out there. And I often get asked the question of, are there more sharks now? Because we hear about them all the time. And in some areas, including here, yes, we are having an increase of shark numbers. And that's a good thing because they were decimated for so long that conservation measures are working. So we are bringing back certain populations of sharks. The other thing is that logically, there are just more people recreating in the water. During Victorian times, people, in their big dresses really weren't going into the ocean that much. And also, they didn't have GoPros and Insta360s and all the cameras and drones now. So we see a lot more of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So what about the shark dive experience for people who want to get like a little more dangerous? Is there something locally, like an excursion like that?
There really aren't cage dives around here. There used to be Isla Guadalupe that would leave out of San Diego and go out in Mexico, but the Mexican government has actually shut that one down. So really, you can do Jupiter in Florida. There's a good cage dive there. And then if they really want to get pumped up with the big sharks, there's Tiger Beach in the Bahamas, and that's live aboard, or you can go out of Grand Bahama. So those are probably the closest big shark cage dives. We're seeing some footage here of sharks off of Guadalupe in Mexico, but that was a couple years ago.
Why did they shut that one down locally then?
That one was a biosphere, and there's just a lot of politics around it. We still hope that one day they'll open it back up because it was a beautiful gathering ground for great whites in really clear water, but they no longer run commercial trips out there, unfortunately.
Oh, it's a bummer. All right. Well, there's still some good experiences across the country. All right. Up next, we're going to have some final thoughts with Kanga and where you can see her on Shark Week. Stay with us.
This program features graphic shark attacks and the resulting injuries. Viewer discretion is advised. A team of shark investigators will examine the most intense viral shark encounters on the internet.
Wow. Okay. Oh my gosh.
What shark attacked?
That was part of the trailer for Kanga's new show. Kanga, tell everybody where they can see your show and what it's called again.
So What Shark Attacked is going to be on Shark Week this year on July 30th at 8 p.m.
Okay, and final thoughts overall for this year's Shark Week.
This year's Shark Week, I think, is going to be really exciting. I've seen teasers of a lot of the shows, and I think they're all going to be great. Everyone did a great job. But obviously, I'm partial to our show, and I think ours is going to be very exciting because it really is like Shark CSI. And there are some wild stories out there. You're going to see some big bite marks out of surfboards. You're going to see some crazy incidents happening, and you're going to see some investigations.
Okay, so Shark Week in its 38th year. Quick thoughts on the history and the evolution of this crazy, crazy week on television.
It has become a phenomenon. I mean, it really is. Like, people get so excited about it. I have a Shark Week backpack or some little outfit with Shark Week on it.
Yeah.
Everywhere I wear it, people stop me to go, oh my gosh, I love Shark Week. So it really is. It's a phenomenon. For that long, 38 years, it's pretty cool.
I've definitely bought a fin to put on my dog during Shark Week, so that's a must, people, okay?
Yes.
Kinga, thank you so much, and thank you for watching. Shark Week starts on July 26th, and as Kinga said, her show, What Shark Attacked, once again, 8 p.m. on July 30th. Make sure you tune in. I'm Stephanie Simmons, and this is the backstory of Shark Week.